Hey, Pastor Jackie here. You give people an opportunity to sign on, but I'm not gonna get up and get off today. I was just thinking, some people have been asking me, I'm a foodie. I've been posting things about food. So I'm thinking about, sharing a little bit more in that area. I'm always experimenting or making some stuff that I've made in the past. So would love to do that. I just the other day made some pork chops. I bought from Kroger a spicy breading, but I had had gone down to Findlay Market and I got this raspberry chipotle spice and I mixed it in with the other breading. Oh man, it made the pork chops would be good with the spicy flavor, but this just made them so unique. I've used it before, the raspberry chipotle before. I have a deep fryer, and when I use it, it's going to be 3 different kinds of fish. Catfish, tilapia. I might have some other stuff, and I'll have shrimp. I'll fry some okra. I don't eat fried food that often, but if I'm going to fry, I'll fry some chicken, just a bunch of stuff. And each one will have its own unique breading to create a unique flavor. So just really love doing it. Hey, I know this is just all kind of random, giving people an opportunity to sign on. I buy these all the time. I'm hoping, I looked at the books that I posted last week and it wasn't real clear. So I'm hoping this is in the middle. Maybe I should block my face. I don't know. But anyway, Wild Berries Cheesecake scented. I buy these wax candles that you can drop into a warmer. And just, oh man, I put this in earlier, came down here to the man cave, and I mean, everything. Well, it hit me before I even got down here. It's just 1 cube. I love scents, and I like fruity scents. Right now, I've got kind of a manly kind of candle that's burning in the room that I got from Bath and Body Works. Theirs are a little pricey. 3 is $25 as opposed to, what is it, $4 or $5 to get about 6 at Walmart, something like that. But the scents are unique and they're really, really good. So anyway, just being random. Got a few more minutes before we get started. As soon as the Corvette clock goes off, man, from Monday to Monday it's a challenge because I get so excited. I've got so much information. And I get impatient. It's like Monday's too far away. Now, I haven't said this for a while, so maybe you haven't heard it, but it is my goal to have a Wednesday and a Friday show. Now, some of those may be pre-recorded as opposed to live, but I want to deal with the era between about 200 BC. I'll make sure I fill the gap there, but AD. About 200 AD all the way up to about the 1500s. And then in the 1500s, move to America and do all the way to today, just working my way through history. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Well, the computer says it's 8 o'clock, and the music was set for exactly 5 minutes. So I guess the clock is about 45 seconds short, but I can't wait any longer. It is time to go. Hi, I'm Pastor Jackie Jackson. Thank you for joining me on the Urban Apologetics channel. I am hoping that I will say something today that will absolutely blow your mind. Information that maybe you can get in other places, but that I gel it in such a way that it really makes a special difference for you. And it locks in and you remember it. All right. So before we get too far down the road, I want to say welcome. Welcome to the Urban Apologetics channel. I'm always excited to bring you this information because I don't want, doesn't that sound good? Different different motor for every hour almost. It's kind of cool. But anyway, I want you to know what's up. I want you to be the smartest person in the room when it comes to this topic. I want you to know things that are off the beaten path. I believe that if you do, it will change things. So every single Monday, I'm here. Set your device to hang out with me, right? Right now, I am on Facebook Live, right? Jackie Jackson Facebook Live. This is Jackie Jackson Ministries. That's where I put stagnant videos, but that is not where I come to you live. There and also at the Urban Apologetics channel on YouTube. So again, just always glad to do this and excited about its purpose. So, welcome to the man cave. All right. We're going to do some biblical study down here in the man cave. All right. African Study Bibles, where I get a lot of my information. Thank God for my sister Danita that gave me that Bible. In addition to that, I use a variety of other sources, and I try to hip you to, what they are. As I've promised, eventually, I'm gonna get to it. I'm caught up in this ham thing right now, so I can't get out of it. Maybe after Nimrod, I might be able to, but I want to do a day where a session where all we're talking about is sources, where you can find these things. Not that I don't lace them in as we go through this, study, but I want to make sure that you know where you can find this stuff, because the Bible and DNA are agreeing with one another. Things that the Bible told us years ago of what happened is now being proven that these stories are real. I didn't need that, but some people need that kind of evidence, and that's important. The reason I didn't need it is because the Spirit of God touches me. God speaks to me. God gives me revelation that this is real. It's not goosebumps. It's not some funny, he manifests himself. And so as he does that, it's easier for me to trust him, right? I just preached at a church this weekend, and I was talking about, I've cast 3 demons out of people, real demons, right? People that have been in wheelchairs have gotten out of wheelchairs. I've seen God do great miracles, surgeries canceled, all kinds of wonderful things, praying over people in their finances, or people that want to have a baby, praying for them. I've seen God do things. So the reason I don't need all of the evidence is because the evidence is in me, the way that he's manifested himself. But anyway, moving on. This is adult story time. This is specifically, especially today. I guess I've said that before, but this is definitely not for the kiddies. All right. This is for adults on the Urban Apologetics channel. This is for people that want to go deeper and understand things kind of raw, as they happened. And that can require, taking a deeper look at some things that otherwise you wouldn't pay attention to, because it's, kind of soft-shoed, but we go deeper than that in Black biblical history. Why am I doing this? Some 70% of young Black people, as I said many times before, but I'll keep saying it, some 70% of young Black people leave the church when they become adults. And one of the big reasons is they don't have an apologetic. And the word apologetic doesn't mean apology. It means a defense for. And they don't know how. They know the Bible stories. They know about Daniel and the lion's den and the 3 Hebrew boys and different things like that. They are aware of that, but they do not know They do not know or have the evidence necessary to deal with when someone tells them that the Bible is the white man's gospel, they have no defense for that. It's not true. It's not true. There's nothing true about that. Black folks all through the Bible. I've explained things on other videos. Go to YouTube, Urban Apologetics channel on YouTube, and you will see black folks all over the place. Matter of fact, because of melanin, we know that the black man had to be first. Two white people can't make somebody black. It's impossible. And I've said this before. After a while, it just starts like it's elementary. Two white people can't make a black person, meaning Japheth, Shem, and Ham. It has been proven by DNA. The people that originally went into Europe, went into Asia, those people were black. Over time, when there was less of a need for melanin, people became lighter and lighter, but it didn't start off that way. So we got to undo some of these stories that we've been told, because science is telling us what really happened, what these people looked like, what their skin color was. And I've shown you pictures. Go back and watch some of the other videos because I can't go back over all of it tonight. Where'd that picture come from? Oh, that's me when I went to the National Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky, just a few ago. Let's move on. I know it's so self-serving, isn't it? I love cars, always have, since I was a child. All right, to the subject. Sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. We have been focusing. This is our third message, focusing on Mizraim. Wanting to remind you, though, that Egypt is mentioned in the Bible a lot of times because they've been a challenge. But Egypt is mentioned in the Bible 641 times at least, depending on the version that you're reading. And many, many great things were accomplished by them. Many great things were accomplished by them. But we want to deal with something different tonight. That picture that's right under me. That Egyptians came to the Americas. Egyptians came to the Americas. You can say 5,000 years. You can say whatever it is you want to say. But they came long before the homicidal maniac that we force on our children to celebrate, Christopher Columbus. The man, anyway, I've talked about it before. The strongest evidence of Africans being in America before Columbus, it came from Columbus himself. He wrote about it. American historian, Columbus himself. In 1920, a renowned American historian and linguist, Leo Weiner, and I just got finished, I watched a documentary today about him, just actually today, a Harvard, of Harvard University, in his book, Africa and the Discovery of America, explained how Columbus noted in his journal that Native Americans had confirmed that black-skinned people had come from the southeast in boats trading in gold-tipped spears. Now, I've already shared with you the DNA evidence that they found where they tested the hair of these folks and found cocaine and tobacco, which is not on the continent of Africa or was not at that time. It was in America. So therefore, someone had come to America, grabbed these elements and brought them back, and they were put into use by royals. African explorers crossing the vast Atlantic. I've got a voice thing there that is moving, that's blocking my vision. Sorry, I put it on the wrong screen. Well, you read that. I'll jump down where it says, numerous successful modern attempts have illustrated that without an oar, now I'm going to show you this map again in a second, without an oar or sail, ancient African boats, including dugout, would certainly have been able to cross the vast ocean in a matter of weeks. Now, I talked about this last week, right? Showed you the kind of boat that they used and explained to you that they were able to do it through the ocean, through rivers, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But there are people, and I'm just getting this on the screen, I'm actually not going to read this one, other than that last line. Egyptians came to the Grand Canyon. I talked about it last week. I said I'm going to deal with it this week, and we're going to get into it. Now, how did they do it? The ocean has, for lack of a better word, or it is the best word, it has rivers or streams. And if you, and that's what the article there was talking about, if you get on those streams, it will take you wherever that stream is flowing, and they were smart enough to understand where they would end up. Because travel for some places was consistent. It wasn't a one time they explored. No. There are stories of mass numbers, you'll see in a second, of large numbers of people that came and established colonies, for lack of a better word. I hate using that word, but you know, there's more. Here's another picture of the rivers or the streams and how they flow. Just showing you some extra evidence here on that these streams would carry them wherever it was they wanted to go. And we have discovered through evidence that they traveled to the Grand Canyon. There are artifacts that were found in the Grand Canyon. The vastness of this underground city is huge. Black people were here thousands of years ago. I'm just letting it sink in, because you may be hearing this for the first time. And you may think that black folks came to America during slavery. And that's the first time that they appear in the story. You know, we had already been building ships that can get us here. Math, science. I mean, they built the pyramids. And there are stories that I'm trying to verify now. There are stories that I've been reading that the Aztecs, and we'll get to some of that in just a second, that the pyramids that they built were inspired by these Africans that were already here. As a matter of fact, there have been Oriental as well as Egyptian artifacts that have both been found together, and there is a theory. You know how I am about the facts and the evidence. Theory, that Indians are a combination of Egyptians and Asians. Haven't proved that one yet, but I'm working on it. You happen to find something about that? I got one other thing I'm going to ask you to. You happen to find something about that? Post it. Or comment on YouTube. Let me know what you find. I'm looking. I'm digging. I'm trained to do it. But if you find something listen, it's peer reviewed, it's reputable. I can find anything if I Google it, right? But I'm talking about if you find clear evidence and you want me to read it, I certainly would appreciate it. Let me know. I'm curious about this. I've thought about it before, and I know over 600,000 black people escaped slavery and lived amongst the Indians and still celebrate today that as a part of their heritage. I know. First time hearing it, probably just, yes. Yeah. That's why I want to do these other eras of time, so I can give you the whole story of how great and accomplished black people have always been. Not because they're better than somebody, but just have always been great, always been smart, always been accomplished. Language. The first time language was spoken came out of the mouth of a black man. Why do I feel a hum coming? I'm not preaching, I'm just talking. Let's move on, man, before I do something. Good gracious. This stuff is so rich. There's so much good information, so much inspiration that can come from all of this. So this is where I'm about to get this from. There's some articles or some information where it's actually quoting somebody, and I think that it's good for us to hear it. All right. I told you I was going to show you who discovered it, not who created it. Created the situation or the city in the Grand Canyon. But I told you I'd show you the origin of it. In March and April 1909, the Phoenix Gazette published 2 stories about the discovery of a great underground citadel hidden in a cave in the Grand Canyon. The first article in March only mentions explorer G.E. Kincaid and his exploration down the Colorado River. The paper also notes that he made some interesting archaeological discoveries, but no details were listed. Got a question for you when we get done with this part. The second story reports in more depth on Kincaid's trip down the Colorado River, where he discovered an ancient hidden city in hand-carved, not natural, caves. So someone hewn this out, right? Themselves. The Southwest is home to many Pueblo ruins, the Pueblo Indians, and cities belonging to many different tribes of Pueblo people. But Kincaid described the city as having an Oriental or Egyptian flavor. The hard carved tunnels and caves and the city were said to contain mummies. I think there were 13 to be exact. A shrine with a figure sitting cross-legged, holding a lotus flower or lily in each hand. Hieroglyphic writings, and war weapons, and copper instruments with sharpened edges as hard as steel. Kincaid estimated that 50,000 people had once lived in the tunnels and caves. The article goes on to say that the Smithsonian was involved in the study and investigation of the site. These were the only 2 stories ever published on the subject, and most inquiries led to dead ends. All right, now what's significant about this, and let me take a little bit of time here, is if you look at the article itself, if you read the whole article, there's more detail, more description about what the city looked like. It's important to understand that if, we've already in another video proved these people are black, right? In more than one way. I was reading a piece of research. There's so many archaeologists and anthropologists. I'm not saying don't trust people, but there are a lot of folks that they're just dishonest. They want to make these people white. And what you have to do when you're researching any period of time is you have to look at the whole picture. I hope you don't mind me doing this again. I might go in a little bit more, but what I'm saying is, if you only go back 1,500 years BC, now some conquering has started, right? Should I say this ahead of time so I don't forget later? We're going to talk about the Olmec people, all right? Olmec is a name that was created by researchers. We don't know the names of these folks. But they did this DNA study of current people and said, which is amazing to me, that they're 8% African, of African descent. Misspoke. Okay, they may be 8% now, but you can't measure it by now. They're saying they don't have any evidence for what the Olmec people would have looked like. I'm way ahead of myself. I haven't showed you any pictures or anything. I apologize. I'll go back over it in just a second. But we do have evidence. And I have to say this. I'm good at what I do. You're not going to get me to, that's not arrogant. I'm good at what I do. But I don't think I'm the only one. I think these people find what they're supposed to find, but they want to make it whatever they want to make it. All right, I'm ahead of myself. Let me back up a little bit. Here are the entrances to the underground city in the Grand Canyon. Now, this is beginning of the Grand Canyon, or this is northern Arizona, where this is. I don't think I have a picture that proves that. But they found mummies and things of that nature there. They found artifacts. They found worship that was being offered to ISIS. They found some things, folks. They found some things. Now, there was a researcher and his wife. They were trying to, she wasn't, but they had some people that were working with them, and they were trying to rappel down. I've seen the video where they were trying to rappel down to go in and take a look. It is illegal for you to do that. Helicopter can't land down on the floor of the Grand Canyon. They can't fly over and let you go into the cave from there. So while they were rappelling down, an airplane flew by, which means there are cameras that are there somewhere. And a helicopter flew by them, did a blow-by actually, to discourage them from going in there and looking. Now, my question is, why? Why? Why would you do that? Kincaid's cave, there's nothing that says that it's hard to get to, but there's nothing that says it's unsafe. But why would the government go to, and as a matter of fact, in Washington, D.C., as one of the things there said, in Washington, D.C., there are artifacts that the Smithsonian has put there, but the Smithsonian is now denying that there's anything there. That they look, nothing to see here. But you took some stuff out of the cave that is clearly Egyptian. So why? Why would you do that? I have a theory. Because if you identify that black folks had already been here, you cannot maintain a lie. You cannot maintain the narrative. You cannot do it. You cannot, now that you've touted that these people are some of the, you're still trying to figure out how they made the pyramids. So you can't now attribute them to black folks because many of the things that are in there, clearly, these are black featured people. There's no conquering going on during the time that they were here. These are black featured people. So what are you going to do? We live in a modern era. They go in there and do some DNA testing, they're going to find out. They'll find out the truth. And listen, that's not the only place in this country. But let's just finish this part. These pure gold artifacts from Kincaid's Cave, that's what we're calling it in the Grand Canyon, and naming things after people that discovered. And these Egyptian urns from Powell's Cave, pictured above, are some of the historical artifacts from the Grand Canyon displayed at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. Where did the rest of them go? At least some of them were obviously photographed and documented, but who knows, can't see that word, wasn't there other relics that have been found and are not displayed? Who knows what other relic? Yeah, I didn't memorize it, so I'm sorry. You understand? You have to think about this stuff. Right? There is a reason for the narrative to stay like it is. You cannot conquer people, enslave people, oppress people, tell folks that they're less than. You can't do that without having a systematic way of like, for instance, total side note, I promise you. When you think about welfare, you think about black women, but there are more white women on welfare than there are black. Just by the sheer numbers, we only make up 13 to 15% of the population. It's a lie. It's just simply, it's a lie. There's more white on white crime than there is black on black, just by the sheer numbers. Some 83% of white crime is white on white crime. And again, the percentage of the population of black folks compared to white is not even half. It's not even 20%. It's not 17%. It's not 16%. But you have to maintain that narrative in order to maintain white supremacy and suppression. You can't tell what's really in the Grand Canyon if you want to remain superior, because now you'd have to, first of all, admit that these people that you say were super intelligent, and we don't know how they built the pyramids and all of our language and math. I mean, listen, I have read enough tainted information by scholars. I just know I can just catch it. It's kind of like, somebody that's used to hearing a piece of music, like my wife, man. She was a first chair violinist. right? If she's listened to a piece of music that she's heard before, you hit one note wrong and she's got you. That's the way I feel like I am with scripture and with history, right? If you say something that God didn't say, I don't have to buy that. I know what the word says. You can't just pull one thing out and it, And when it comes to this, when it comes to oppression, when it comes to a caste system, which is what we have, when we're dealing with this hierarchy, first of all, Christians shouldn't be participating in that. And so many are. But you need to understand that the only way you can maintain control over one race over another is that you have to first demean them and treat them as if they're less than. And a story like the Grand Canyon, are you kidding me? Here's the other thing I want you to take a look at. This is in Illinois. Tried to watch some things and do some research on it. It's not done, but I feel like, I don't know. I really have no idea. I know what Facebook is saying, but I have people that are coming up to me to tell me they've seen the videos. I actually have a seminar that's coming up that I'm going to do because somebody that I don't see where they checked off I don't even know how they saw it. So those that are following and listening and watching and all of that, if you can find some information on this topic, I would love to see it, read it, view it on YouTube, whatever you can find. Again, I'm looking for sources that are scholarly, but at the same time, just if you don't know whether or not it is, I should have said that earlier, just give it a shot and send it to me, man. It may be something else that's there that I can springboard off of that to get to where I'm trying to go, so that when I teach it, I can say this isn't theory, it's fact. But there is evidence all across America that the Egyptians were here. There are wrecked ships on the Mississippi, Egyptian ships on the Mississippi River. Yep. It's marinating time. It's marinating time. Just let your jaw hang for a minute. I also want it to assimilate and accommodate in your brain. I want you to, I do this rote memory stuff. Put it in some categories in your brain. So let's talk about the Olmec people. I already told you where the name, scholars came up with the name. I don't have a problem with that. You got to call them something. But if you look, and I should have, hold on. Let me give you this. Let me do this real quick. This is my favorite one. So, okay, if you look closely at these streams, you will see the one off the coast of Africa flows right into that map that's under me there. It's exactly where it goes, into the Gulf of Mexico. Flows right into that area, and the temperatures in that area are suitable. Not that these folks didn't go up into other parts of America, but I can see them establishing a colony. Now I read all kinds of. Listen, you can you can look at these pictures and you could tell this. Come on, where you think these dudes are from? Where you think these dudes are from? Huh? You tell me. They're from Africa. They're from Africa. The guy on the far right. Here, let me put this. There's two of these that are alike. This dude, man, that's my cousin Daryl. No, that's silly. He looks just like my cousin Daryl, man. That's a black man. And I've watched videos, I've read some material. You should listen to the scholars squirming, trying to make them white, trying to make them mixed with something else. Just squirming to make something true that isn't. I probably shouldn't say this because you're really gonna think that I'm a bit beside myself, but I'm good at what I do. So how about a little proof before we close out? The Egyptian golden tablet was discovered in the depths. We're going to bring it all together. This is juicy right here. The Egyptian golden tablet was also discovered in the depths of this tunnel city, led by way of Kincaid's cave. So we're back in the Grand Canyon. This tablet serves as a history book, including names, can't see that word, with King Zaphneth coming to Aztlan. Aztlan is where the Aztecs are. Let me say that again. Maybe you didn't get that. In the Grand Canyon, they not only are they finding mummies and all of that, but in the Grand Canyon, a black African king is mentioned, a pharaoh is mentioned on a tablet. And when they talk about where his spot is, it's where the Aztecs are. And information about his descendants, King Cayenne, I don't know if that's how that's pronounced or not, coming to the Grand Canyon. It sounds like they landed, right, in Mexico, down in a city that's now called Tabasco. That's where Tabasco, I guess that's where Tabasco sauce, the name comes from. But that's where it is, right? And it looks like that's where they go first, following that current that I showed you, and then went up into the Americas, went up into what we are now, the United States, the Grand Canyon and all of that, exploring. Well, on the other side of Mexico was Arizona. It's not like, I know this is a journey possibly on foot or whatever, but it's really not that far away in terms of, where they had to go. As soon as they cross out of Mexico, that's, anyway, you can do with that whatever you want. My point is that we have evidence. We have evidence. Maybe not clear of the migration of these folks. I'm just making an assumption. But we do have evidence that they were there. We do have evidence that they were where the Aztecs were. We do have evidence that they were in the Grand Canyon. Black kings. Again, you've got to demean a people. You've got to make it harder for them. Last hired, first fired. You got to do that. And you've got to do everything you can to suppress the real story, even if you know it. I mean, there's generations of people that are running around. They have no idea about this truth. They just have things in their heart that they need to deal with. Stories they've been told over and over again. That are not true. But if you are going to suppress a people, if you are going to feel superior, if you're going to feel like I mean, come on, y'all. As if God, how many times do I need to say this? As if God would create a set of people, one above another. The only difference between white folks and black folks is one has melanin and the other one doesn't. Has nothing to do with intelligence. I read something the other day about someone talking about melanin. People with melanin are smarter, and I mean, just the opposite. I'm not going with that. No matter what side tells the wrong story, God didn't create one race superior to another. He wouldn't do that. But as long as that narrative continues, we got ourselves a problem. Do you think they would have continued or would have ever lynched people? You see, here's the deal. Listen, this is the reason I'm showing this. This is all connected. Here's the deal. Ida B. Wells, picture on the right, Ida B. Wells, one of the things she was trying to make known is they're not just killing some Joe Blow that's walking down the street. She had two friends that were killed. One of those friends owned a hardware store. They were killing what they called uppity niggas. They were killing people that were successful to suppress their success so that superiority could remain. And every Christian should have a problem with that. But do you think they would have done that if the story never changed? And we knew the pharaohs were black. It was clear that Jesus, our Lord and Savior, was a black-skinned man. Nah, not that. Not Japheth's folks, not Gomer's folks, not the Ashkenazi Jews. No, they weren't there. They were up in Europe somewhere. Jews, yes, have the specific Y chromosome, but they weren't there. Jesus was from the tribe of Judah. That's where the term Jew comes from. They're not from the tribe of Judah. We can call them Jews. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying we need to write this story. I got more for you. I got a whole lot more. I got a whole lot more just swimming in my head. Books where you can run reference yourself. Any website that I use, I've given you evidence of it tonight. Anything that's theory, I tell you, because there's some things I'm still digging and searching for. And if you're willing to go ahead and take a look at some of that stuff for me, God bless you. I need the help. It's my message for tonight. We got to get to the truth. RIGHT, we have to write this story. I'm Pastor Jackie Jackson. May the Lord bless you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.